Mr. Higgins is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To provide some context here, I remember traveling in the summer of 2006 to Lebanon. It was immediately after the Hezbollah-Israeli war, and we had to fly from Cyprus to the United States Embassy in Beirut along the Mediterranean Sea by helicopter. We landed in the ambassador at the time, Ambassador Feldman brought us into the residence, the ambassador's residence, and he had an ashen look on his face and said that anti-American sentiment is at an all-time high. We later left the residence and drove to a meeting with Prime Minister Sonora through the streets of Beirut. I was sitting next to the ambassador, and I'd asked him if he was okay. He had said he would be tomorrow because the United States Marines were going to dispatch 75 Marines to guard the embassy. And for the past week and a half, they had been guarded by the Lebanese National Army. And his concern was that if they decided to make a move, Hezbollah, which is a violent Shia group committed to violent jihad, on the embassy, perhaps the Lebanese National Guard's loyalties would be mixed. I think the point here is that diplomacy is tough work, and it's very, very dangerous work. And by definition, diplomats are supposed to mix with the people and mix with the culture, not hide inside the embassy when things get tough, because the real work and the tough work of diplomats occurs during the toughest times in the most difficult places, like Benghazi. You know, for the past 40 years, the United States, there have been attacks on U.S. diplomatic targets, including 64 under President Bush. There were fewer under Clinton than there were in the first George Bush. There were fewer under the first George Bush than the first George Bush under Reagan, a little bit more under Carter, a little bit fewer under Ford, and a little bit more under President Nixon. The point is, I think what I've heard here, consistent with Mr. Ackerman's concern, is that we're looking to assign blame rather than looking to find exactly what happened and how we can take actions to protect our diplomats more effectively. And I could easily talk about the budgetary issues and the fact that this Congress rejected the administration's request for over $400 million more for embassy security than they received. You hear the assertions of projecting weakness within a political debate or peace through security. Mr. Ackerman's right. There's a stench of hypocrisy. And if we're serious as a body in trying to protect our diplomats, the world's not getting any easier. It's getting a lot more complicated. It's getting a lot more fouled and confused. And as these places seek to evolve to become more stable, our diplomats are going to continue to be in danger in all of these places. So I really don't have a question, but I just think the context is important here. And we need to understand that America is the greatest country in the history of the world. And it's because we export our values. And when we, as members of Congress, conduct hearings that really don't seem to be intent on getting to the root of the problem, but rather saying that they're more responsible than we were, I think we do a great disservice to America, to Americans, but more importantly to America's unique place in the world. With that, I'll yield back.
Thank you very much.